Shalom. Giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem Shai, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh, Bashem Shai, Brakatham, to you, hopefully elect. Just another quick video. Because for one, as it tells you in Wisdom of Solomon 12, how the Lord's incorruptible spirit is in all things, and the scripture's going as well to tell us how the Lord is he pours out his spirit upon all flesh, right? Because basically it's getting to a point where a lot of people, even though they're not going to fully connect the dot, they're not going to fully connect the dots. They're not going to be able to fully put the pieces together. That's the job of the prophets. Because a lot of these guys, whether they're experts in the economy, economists, or whatever, they do bring out a lot of useful information, but ultimately it's for the prophets to be able to filter and decipher through the scriptures. All right. Because like I said, these guys, they bring out a lot of useful information, but only the prophets are going to have only the prophets are going to be able to fully put the pieces together. All right. Because like I was saying, things are just getting to a point where, a lot of people are starting to figure things out. And that's, like I was saying, like I said in the beginning, it's just that the Lord, he's working at his spirit throughout the earth, man, and people are starting to wake up, but like I said, they're never going to be able to fully understand, but with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and start with this real quick. In the book of Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9. Because when it comes to Esau, all right, this devil, he's a 3-time loser, all right. Start with the Greeks when they first came into power, which were Edomites. And they came back as the Romans, which were Edomites, and through America, Babylon, all right. This is pretty much where, their blessing was perfected, all right, because they always had this idea, this mindset, through the Spirit of the Lord, of this one world, this new world order, which is really an old world order, but they always had this idea, this mindset, and through the rebirth, which that's what's going into this video, all right, because America is nothing but regeneration, all right, because not only does the Lord bring individuals back, but he brings whole generations back as well. And it's through the regeneration of this Roman ancient pagan empire, which today again it came back as America. Again, like I said, Esau being a 3-time loser because he's had 3 empires to get it. And again, through America, that's where their blessing was perfected, right? But let me get this real quick. In Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, it says, "The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." As like I said, this whole thing that Esau's trying to establish now, this is something that they've been trying to accomplish. You know, this is something that they've been trying to do. That's why I mentioned how this so-called New World Order is really the Old World Order, which really goes back to the Canaanites. All right, but that's another video for another time. You know, but again, America is nothing but a regeneration of the ancient Roman pagan empire. All right, and again, because people are starting to, through the Spirit of the Lord, figure that out. It's becoming more and more clear. You know, and I'm gonna just go ahead and play this video.
We are watching the collapse of an empire happening in real time. This week we saw one of the biggest stories in the world happen about 30 miles from where I am right now in Saudi Arabia. Here in the Middle East, everyone is talking about it. But the story got almost zero attention because Donald Trump was arrested, and the news media decided to send every camera they own to cover that story, even using helicopters following Trump's car like it was a O.J. Simpson and a white Bronco story. But some news organizations took the moral high ground, and they told us they refused to cover the Trump story. So Rachel Maddow is above it all. But did she cover the biggest story in the world? Nope. Instead, she spent actual minutes telling us why MSNBC is a great news organization.
He is making remarks tonight from his home in Florida. It is just getting started. So far, he's just giving his normal list of grievances. We don't consider that necessarily newsworthy, and there's a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things.
So instead of covering real news, they spend time telling us how great they are. That's time well spent. Meanwhile, you'll be able to tell your kids where you were when the United States of America did exactly what the Roman Empire did and utterly collapsed. Because all of the signs were there, staring us right in the freaking face, but the news media were on lunch break or out smoking a cigarette. This week, we got our clearest sign yet that America is in serious economic.
Because what people don't understand is, like I mentioned, not only does the Lord bring individuals back individually, you know, people back individually, but he brings whole generations back. And you know, how does the saying go? History repeats itself. Well, that's because, you know, spirits aren't destroyed. You know, they're just merely recycled. All right, you know, they're merely recycled. So, you know, again, if it seems like, you know, you may question or wonder why does history in fact repeat itself? Well, it's because the Lord brings the same spirits back to fulfill a specific purpose. That's why I read in Ecclesiastes, no new thing under the sun. All right. The same spirits that are here today, you know, are the same spirits that were back during the pagan Roman ancient empire. And just real quick, all right, because, you know, lately you do have a lot of new people waking up, coming onto the comment board, asking questions. So, you know, while a lot of us, myself included, are trying to really dig into deeper breakdowns, it's just like the Lord, he has it to where he has this certain block to where, you know, it's just better to stick to the basics, stick with the milk, you know, because again, a lot of new Jake, you know, waking up and asking questions. So I'm gonna get this real quick in Revelation 1:7. Behold, he come up with clouds, talking about Yahushua, who ignorantly calls Jesus. Those clouds represent the chariots. You know, the Bible's written in parables and dark sayings. So, you know, oftentimes throughout the scriptures, when you read about the clouds, and Slakia, I am recovering from, you know, being under the weather, so I might not sound like I'm all the way there. But oftentimes in the scriptures, when you read about the clouds, oftentimes it's talking about the chariots. That's one of the code names for the chariots. So again, it says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall weep because of him, even so Amen." All right, so the point being that because it said, "and they also which pierced him," because again, when Yahushua makes his second return, all eyes are going to see him. All eyes are going to be on this event. All right, as the Apostle Gabar, you know, from time to time he uses the comparison, like when the Twin Towers went down on 9/11. All right, many consider that a time in history to where the day that the earth stood still. Well, why? Because all eyes were on this event of 9/11 and the Twin Towers. All eyes were on that event. All right. Well, hey, that's on a low level, because when Yahushua makes his second return, this is really going to be a day that the earth stands still. And this is really going to be a day that all eyes are going to be on Yahushua. There's not going to be, in that day, there's not going to be a single individual that's going to be taking a nap, or an individual that's going to be asleep, or anything like that. All right. All eyes are going to be on this event. All right. But the point being, because it said, "and they also which pierced him." All right. Again, going into that reincarnation. All right. Because obviously, those Roman soldiers that pierced Yahushua over 2,000 years ago, obviously they're dead. All right. So how are they going to see the second coming of Yahushua? Well, it's going to be through the process of reincarnation. All right. Because we all come back here every 3 to 4 generations. We come back, everyone. All right. And whoever those Roman soldiers were that pierced Yahushua, they're back today to get their judgment, because Yahushua didn't forget that. He didn't forget that, and he still has a beef with them, those cats, man, those Edomites. All right, so they're back today, whoever they are, wherever they are, to get their judgment. You see, but going back to it.
Trouble. And I'm going to show you what happened in Saudi Arabia and China that is sending shockwaves through Washington and the Middle East right now. The Biden administration is, of course, hiding it from you. They don't want to talk about it. But I'll show you this in a minute. But first, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that the United States is mirroring almost exactly what led to the fall of the Roman Empire. Just dive into the research. Because during the late Roman Empire, the government found itself in almost the exact same situation as the United States today. The Romans facing massive military spending to satiate their continued expansion. They went into massive...
And that's another thing. All right. So to say, another inkling, another clue that America is a regeneration of the ancient Roman Empire. All right. Because just like that Roman ancient empire, America's doing the same thing. America's following after the steps of the pagan Roman ancient empire. All right. And one of those things they were doing was the expansion of spreading their military too thin. Because America has, ties with all these countries, such as the Ukraine, such as Taiwan, all right, which, for those that don't know, again, America backs Taiwan, all right, and man, because this shit, man, this shit's gonna blow up, man, because shit, just look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine. Again, America backs the Ukraine, and America has been sending all this aid, all these billions of dollars to the Ukrainians, right? But again, not only them, America backs Taiwan, and hey, China has been they just finished up some war drills. All right, because it's looking like any day now or sometime soon that China's gonna have a complete invasion of Taiwan. You know, so with that, America, you know, they had to defend Ukraine from the Russians. They had to defend Taiwan if well, at this point I should say not a matter of if but when China invades Taiwan, America's gonna have to defend Taiwan, right? And not only that, as we know, America backs those Israelis, which, hey man, you know, as of right now, shots are being fired between them and the Iranians. You know, rockets are being fired back and forth, right? Not only that, America backs South Korea, which North Korea has been shooting all these ballistic missiles, because it's also looking like North Korea is gonna, you know, basically take over South Korea. So America's, you know, backing, aiding all these countries. Again, these are all signs, just like the pagan Roman ancient empire spreading their military too thin. You know, the same thing with America today. All right, you spread your military too thin, man. That's not good. You know, but nevertheless, this is the same thing that they did back in the ancient Roman Empire.
Debt. They started borrowing all kinds of money in order to pay for this military expansion. It all created a downward debt spiral that consumed the Roman Empire, and they couldn't get out of it. Today, the U.S. government is also facing skyrocketing levels of debt, with the national debt currently sitting at $33 trillion. This level of indebtedness is unsustainable. How are they going to get out of this? The United States now has over 750 military bases around the world. It's one of the most infuriating things in the world to me. It's spending billions to overthrow other governments around the world. Here was Senator John McCain in Ukraine in 2013 admitting they're in the process of regime change.
Senator, you have just addressed the crowd of protesters there, yourself in Kiev. What is it you're trying to do here?
Hopefully what we're trying to do is bring about a peaceful transition here.
Oh, they got their proxy government all right. So the U.S. has massive military expansion by installing our own proxy governments and military bases around the world. But don't call it an empire. But it's the same thing as the Romans, just with a different name. Another factor that contributed to the decline of the Roman Empire was the debasement of the currency. Just like the United States, in an effort to finance its military operations and other expenses, the Roman Empire began to issue coins with less silver inside of it. That led to hyperinflation. It led to a loss of faith in the currency. Does that sound familiar to you? Where have I heard?
It's the same shit that America's doing. All right, it's the same shit that they did back in the ancient Roman Empire. All right, you know, with the devaluing of, you know, I believe they put they were putting well, let me real quick run it back.
Thing as the Romans, just with a different name. Another factor that contributed to the decline of the Roman Empire was the debasement of the currency. Just like the United States, in an effort to finance its military operations and other expenses, the Roman Empire began to issue coins with less silver inside of it. That led to hyperinflation.
Yeah, because I do believe that, like you said, you know, less silver and more copper, if I'm not mistaken. Which, to put it in modern terms, inflation, all right, and the devaluing of the dollar. You know, all the printing of all this money out of thin air that's not backed by anything. You know, and it's crazy because I told people this back in 2020, 2021 when they were giving out all the stimulus money. All right, and you know, as of recently, you know, some of those same people, they were like, well, shit, you know, like you were right. Because I told them back in 2020, 2021, all this money that they're printing out of thin air, man, hey, eventually that's just gonna, devalue the dollar, because it's like if you have a cup of pure orange juice. Let's say you have a cup of pure orange juice, right? But yet you keep diluting it. How do you dilute it? You add water to it. The more water you add to the orange juice, all right, the more tasteless, the more worthless, the orange juice can become. And that's with all this printing of this money out of thin air. It's just diluting the dollar, because with the price of everything going up, is not necessarily of the value, so to say, or the product. Like, let's say, because back in the day, a bag of chips, a bag of Doritos, man, will run you about 99 cents. Well, today, hey, the same bag of Doritos, small bag of Doritos, will run you about $1. Excuse me, it'll run you like $1.50 in a Slovakia. Because back then, the small bag of Doritos, it would be around 50 cents. A small bag of Doritos, it will run you about 50 cents, right? Well, like I said, it's the same small bag of Doritos today would run you pretty much $1.50. It would be about $1.50, $1.50, man. And it's probably more than that, because I don't eat Doritos anymore, so it's probably more than that. But again, just to show the point how it's not more so the product, it's just more so the purchasing power of the dollar has decreased. It's been devalued. And this is what I was trying to explain to a lot of people back in 2020, 2021, while everyone was all happy, right? All this money. Now listen, if you got the, if you got those stimulus checks and whatnot, then hey, I mean, there's no sin, but hey, put not your trust in riches. Don't, because that's just not going to save you. Hey, make do with what you got. Because hey, at the end of the day, the scriptures tell us, hey, the Lord loads us with daily benefits. So there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of these things like food stamps and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you put your trust in that, then that's where the problems come. All right. But going on.
Led to a loss of faith in the currency. Does that sound familiar to you? Where have I heard this before? Only this time, the difference is that the United States dollar isn't tied to any gold or any silver. It's tied to nothing. The U.S. dollar is backed up by debt and U.S. military power. And, most importantly, using the U.S. dollar to pay for oil transactions. So this week, Saudi Arabia surprised Joe Biden and the rest of the West by suddenly announcing a massive oil production cut, which will reduce OPEC Plus's production by another 1.5 million barrels per day until the end of the year. Oil prices then shot up above $80 a barrel, up 6%. But it's not just about the oil production. It's about what happened next. The Biden administration threatened Saudi Arabia with severe consequences. Like what? Pulling our military protection? Like what else are we going to threaten them with? His response? Actually a jaw-dropper. The Crown Prince said he's done pleasing the United States.
So that was the point. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this Revelation 13. Because like I was saying in the beginning, the Lord's Spirit working throughout the earth, man, people are starting to connect the dots and make sense of certain things, even though they're not going to fully understand the full picture. Again, that's the job of the prophets. All right, but the fact that you got guys like this just, figuring it out that, hey, America's nothing but, America's falling after the footsteps of the Roman Empire. Well, that's because, again, America is nothing but the regeneration of the ancient Roman Empire. Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. All right, because again, America, again, is the regeneration of the ancient Roman Empire. All right, it's just perfected in its perfected state. All right, because again, Esau, they had 3 empires to do it. That's why I said in the beginning, man, hey, Esau, he's a 3-time loser, because it started with the Greeks, you know, and then it came back as the Romans, but through America, that's where they were able to perfect their blessing and their technology. All right, that's why I said he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. And it causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Because again, how was that first beast, going back to the ancient Roman Empire, because they fell, they fell in Slakia, because it was either because you had the east, and then you had the west. I can't really remember exactly. All right, because one consisted of Israel, Jake. It was Jake that ruled, but the one that fell, going into the Edomites, when they ruled, I think it was. Let me just look this up real quick. Bear with me. Because you had the Eastern Rome, and then you had the Western Rome. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think Jake ruled the Eastern Roman Empire. And I think the Western Roman, that's when Esau fell. In the spiritual, because that's why I said in the beginning, hey, you gotta stick with the basics, man. Keep your iron sharp, man. So yeah, I think I stand corrected. But going back to Romans 13. Romans 13:12 again. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So again, how was that ancient Roman Empire, when they fell, how was it healed? Well, it was healed because they came back again. They came back as through regeneration, through America, through Babylon. All right, so like I said before, man, this is why you see all the and like I said, everyone's starting to see that, hey, man, America's following after the steps of the ancient Roman Empire. Well, that's because this is who that deadly wound that was healed. All right, America being revitalized, or regenerated. All right, because again, it's not more than a regeneration of the ancient Roman Empire. You see, so like I said, not only does the Lord bring spirits back, he brings whole generations back. And going back to the statement that I made earlier, how history repeats itself, and things because there's other sayings, but how history repeats itself is the main one. One of the main ones was because it's the same spirits being recycled. All right, so the same spirits that were back during the Roman ancient empire, the pagan Roman ancient empire, trying to establish that new world order. It's the same spirits back today trying to reestablish that new world order. All right. So as I read it before, hey, no new thing under the sun. So Lord willing, this was edifying. All praise to Yahweh Shema Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh Shema Shai Barakatam to your hopefully elect. Till next time, Lord willing, Shalom.